Hey guys, Vivi G here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to make two of my favorite dressings. So I recently posted on my Instagram a salad I had made, and I mentioned that I was using my keto Italian dressing. So I got a bunch of questions. So I thought, okay, let me do a video. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to make my keto-friendly Italian dressing and my Caesar dressing. So if you do keto, dairy-free, you can just skip the Parmesan because there is Parmesan in both my Italian dressing and my Caesar. And also if you're paleo, right, you can also just omit the cheese. Let's go over all of the ingredients for the Italian dressing first, and then we'll go and do our Caesar dressing. This is really super easy. I'm using a half a cup of olive oil, and I try to buy really good olive oil because it makes a really big difference in the taste. I have 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. You can use white wine vinegar. They have a slightly different taste. One for me is stronger than the other, and I prefer the red wine, but if you like the white wine, you can do whatever you prefer. I'm doing 3 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. Now, I do not recommend that you buy that bag, that Kraft bag of Parmesan. I like to buy a really good block of Parmesan, aged Parmesan cheese, and then I grate it at home. I just think it tastes better and it gives your dressings more flavor. Then I have a combination of lemon juice and mayonnaise. Yes, okay, so what I do is I add 1 teaspoon of mayo, keto-friendly mayo, so it's either made with olive oil or avocado. I usually can find it at Trader Joe's and also on Thrive Market, and I'll link to all of these things that I buy maybe that are a little harder to find in the description box for you guys. And so I mix that 1 teaspoon of mayo with 2 teaspoons of fresh squeezed lemon juice. Then I have 2 teaspoons of organic honey. You can use agave, you can use any keto-friendly sugar that you want. I'm using honey. Then I'm using a crushed garlic clove and 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. So whatever you have, or of course you can make your own, oregano, basil, you know, all of that stuff, put it together, parsley. This is just store-bought Italian seasoning. And then I add a couple of sprinkles of red chili flakes just because I like the heat. And then of course, salt. So I have this really cool salad like mixer thing. If you guys watched my husband and I's wedding gift haul video that we did, you might have seen it. So we're gonna try it out. So basically you're just gonna dump everything into either a jar and then shake the hell out of it. Or you can also, if you have a food processor, you could put it in a food processor, just give it a couple of pulses. Or you could use one of these if you have it. I think this is really cool. So I'm gonna pour my olive oil. And then my red wine vinegar. I'm gonna do my mayo and lemon mix. And then let's go ahead and do the honey. My clove of garlic. And then my favorite part, the cheese. Okay, now I'm not gonna add salt until after I mix it together and taste it to see if it needs it. I like this. Okay, now I'm just gonna go ahead and taste. Oh, that's good, but it could use just a little tiny bit of salt. And a couple more spins. So once it's all blended together, I put it in one of these little airtight jars. This will keep in my fridge for anywhere from 5 to 7 days. Although I don't make a whole lot at one time, for that purpose. I don't want it to go bad, so I really just make it as I need it because it only takes a couple of minutes. And then I just pour it into my jars. And then you can give it one last shake just before you're gonna use it, and you're done. All right, guys, now we're gonna go ahead and make my favorite dressing ever. I love Caesar dressing. I love it on a lot of different things, not just my salads. So let me show you what I put into my Caesar salad. And again, I do use Parmesan cheese. So if you are trying to do keto without the dairy, or you're doing paleo, then just omit the cheese, but it tastes so good. So if you can handle a little Parmesan, add it. It makes a world of difference. So I'm using a cup of mayonnaise. I'm using keto-friendly mayonnaise or paleo-friendly mayonnaise. It's made with, this one's made with olive oil. I have used one that's made with avocado oil. It's just as good, no sugar, it's amazing. We're gonna be using anchovy paste instead of the actual anchovies because I don't like to mash up the anchovies to create the paste, so I just buy the paste. We're also using, we're only gonna be using a teaspoon of this. Then I'm using 2 tablespoons of full fat coconut milk. Every time I use coconut milk, people ask me, do you taste the coconut? It depends on what you're making. Some recipes where I make something and it calls for coconut milk and they say it doesn't taste like coconut, and then you make it and you're like, no, I gotta taste the coconut. In this particular dressing, you're not gonna taste it only because you're dealing with really strong flavors, right? We're adding Parmesan cheese, you're adding anchovy paste, you're adding garlic, and that sort of kills any sort of faint taste that you might get from the coconut milk. But to be fair, it is coconut milk. So if you're ultra sensitive or you taste it despite anything else, then you may taste it just a little bit. I like to use, and this is just the store brand, I think it's Kroger's, but it's premium coconut milk. It's full fat, and then what I do is I put it in the fridge before I use it so that the fat can rise and solidify, and then I just scoop out 2 tablespoons of that. I'm using a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. I'm using 2 teaspoons of lemon juice, fresh squeezed lemon juice. I'm using about 3 cloves of garlic. They're small, so if you are using large cloves, you're using maybe about 3 teaspoons of it. So that's how much I scooped out. And then you're using a 1.5 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. And you're gonna use 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. I hate saying that word, it's so weird. I will say that that's optional. You can leave it out if you're not a fan. I also have some friends that do paleo that don't do Worcestershire sauce. So up to you. Use it, don't use it, whatever. And then obviously salt and pepper to taste. So now we're gonna take all of this, we're gonna start dumping it into my food processor. You could do this if you have like a hand emulsifier, you can do that too, or a hand blender, or you could just beat it to death if you wanna do it that way. I just find it so much easier to use my food processor. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start dumping. Okay, I'm gonna add my coconut milk. And then I keep the reserve until I'm completely done, because if it's too thick and I wanna thin it out, I just add a little bit at a time of more coconut milk minus that full fat at the top. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pour in my Worcestershire sauce. And I'm gonna squeeze a teaspoon of the anchovy paste. Now, if you're a fan of anchovy paste, you wanna add a little bit more after you taste it. Now we'll just go ahead and give this a couple of pulses. Get any mayo that's stuck to the side. Okay, now that everything's blended in, I'm gonna go ahead and pour it into another jar. Okay, so I have already tasted to make sure it didn't need any salt or any pepper. I'm not a huge pepper fan, so if you want to add pepper to your Caesar, by all means add pepper. I did not, and it's delicious. It's so creamy. Oh, that's good. That's almost better than any store-bought Caesar I have ever purchased. I'm gonna put it into my jar. Seal it up, and now you have your very own Caesar dressing. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed my 2 favorite dressings, and if you make them, please let me know. Tag me on Instagram at MimiGStyle or leave me a comment in the comments below. Until next time, peace.